let's talk about exaptations. So exaptations are an area of evolution that basically is when one feature that evolved for one purpose has been co-opted and now serves another completely different function. It's kind of like the opposite of an adaptation. Adaptations are where a specific feature evolves for a specific purpose. Now, just to get this out of the way, evolution does not evolve things towards an end goal. There's no I am going to evolve lungs to breathe air. It's more of a mutation happened that gave certain individuals better capabilities at breathing air instead of breathing water, and that gave them more fitness, which allowed them to reproduce more and pass that trait on to their offsprings, and then millions of years later we have lungs. But that is an example of an adaptation where gills transformed into lungs to more efficiently breathe air. Now, exaptations are kind of, again, the opposite of that. The best example would be bird feathers. Now, one of the synapomorphies, or unifying characteristics across all birds, is that they have feathers, and most people think that feathers are specifically for flight, because that's what we see them used for most commonly. Now, feathers and flight do not always go hand in hand, though. There are multiple different organisms that can fly without feathers, such as insects and bats, and there are multiple types of birds that have feathers and do not fly, such as ostriches and penguins. So feathers were not evolved for flight. Now, the hypothesis is that originally feathers evolved for the same reason that fur evolved, as a way of thermoregulation. You need a way to keep warm, and without the ability to craft and wear clothing, you only have some limited options of how to stay warm in cold temperatures. Now, the mammals went the fur route, and the birds and relatives, such as dinosaurs, went the feathers route. So it's kind of like a chicken-egg situation. What came first, feathers or flight? But there really is one obvious answer in both situations. Since birds evolved far after both feathers and eggs, then obviously the chicken came after. So feathers originally were not evolved for the purpose, I say that loosely, the purpose of flight. They were initially used as a form of thermoregulation, and then that eventually got co-opted into larger feathers with more structure that were capable of gliding and then powered flight. But this is a great example of an exaptation, taking a trait, feathers, that were initially used for another purpose, thermoregulation, and co-opting them for an entirely different purpose, flight.